Friends would walk up to me and just be like, "What the f is in your mug?" And I would just tell them, "It's mud." I was drinking tons of coffee. I was jittery, I was anxious. It became really obvious to me that my coffee addiction was more something that was prescribed to me by culture than something that I wanted to continue. And I met more and more people who had a similar relationship to caffeine. But I ended up swapping it out for this solid chai I found. I added lion's mane for focus and cognitive function, cacao for mood, energy, and of course flavor, chaga and reishi for immune support, turmeric, cordyceps for physical performance, cinnamon, and a pinch of salt to help the flavors pop. This drink that really changed my life ultimately became it, and it was lovely. Means that the house does have the votes in order to pass the bill, in order to suspend the debt ceiling. But of course, the question is what happens in the Senate.
Yes, it just got enough votes here in an ongoing House vote to pass this measure that combines the government funding and debt measure. But it seems very clear that there are not going to be constituents necessary in the Senate. I've been asking Republican senators to support only one, definitely more than likely to support this measure. So Republicans, but they separate into two things. The government funding provisions to shut down and require Democrats to pass in a partisan way through the different reconciliation process to defend the deficit, which is time consuming and a bit complex, which is why this is a tense time here in Washington, because the Democrats are still seeking Republican votes rather than going down that partisan path.
Jack, what does that play when it comes to the infrastructure bill as well as the timing in relation to the tax and spending of the border bill?
That's the case.
reactors and has called a meeting with its Chinese partner to discuss it. French energy giant EDF owns 30%.
Will, can you mute yourself? It's coming through really loud.
Hong Kong. State-owned China General Nuclear Power Corporation owns the other 70%. EDF has been informed of the increase in the concentration of certain noble gases in the primary circuit of reactor N degrees 1 number 1 of the Taishan nuclear power plant, the company said in a statement on its website. The presence of certain noble gases in the primary circuit is a known phenomenon, studied and provided for in the reactor operating procedures. It is unclear exactly where the buildup of gases has happened, leaving experts scratching their heads as to how severe the problem may be. It's clear that some gas leaked from the fuel rod, but did the pressure vessel that contains the fuel rods also fail? Henry Sokolsky, executive director of the Washington-based Nonproliferation Policy Education Center, said to Al Jazeera. And if you're really unlucky, did the containment building fail? Because when a containment building fails, radioactivity can be released into the atmosphere, and that is not good. United States news outlet CNN on Monday, citing U.S. officials and documents it had reviewed, reported that the U.S. government has spent the past week assessing the report of a leak at Taishan nuclear power plant after EDF subsidiary Framatome warned of an imminent radiological threat. U.S. officials do not currently believe the situation poses a severe safety threat, said CNN. China General Nuclear Power Corporation said in a statement on Sunday that data showed the Taishan station and its surrounding environment meet normal parameters, according to a translation by Reuters news agency. But CNN reported that a letter it had seen to the U.S. Department of Energy from Framatome, which designed the reactors at Taishan and continues to help operate them, included allegations that China was raising the acceptable limit for radiation detection outside the nuclear facility in order to avoid shutting it down. Framatome said in a public statement on its website on Monday, according to the data available, the plant is operating within safety parameters. Our team is working with relevant experts to assess the situation and propose solutions to address any potential issues. The International Atomic Energy Agency, the United Nations atomic watchdog, said it was in contact with officials in China about the issue and said in a statement,
being recorded.
Hello.
Oh, hi, Will. Are you wearing clothes, I hope?
I have pants.
That's a start. I should have, and I do have, all of your grades up to date. So I wanted to show you your grade center and what you can be looking at, because we've got Friday, October 8th is the last day of class. So you have 1, 2, 3, including today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 class periods to get your work done. That includes today. The final exam will be on the 8th, and it will be nothing but written. There will be no hands-on troubleshooting or conduit bending final. Monday, we're going to take a quiz over the conduit bending stuff, and we'll go over what you need to know for that today. You go to My Grades in Blackboard. I have this new category. Where did it go? Why is all this crap in there? That's not how it's supposed to look. Somebody pull up. Oh, never mind. You don't have to. Well, yeah, pull up your grade center and see if there's a category that says if the semester ended today.
I'm not seeing it. I feel like that was like always there. Before, but now it's not there.
Oh, I can fix that. Try it now. There it is. The weighted total is a running total. That's your overall grade, but it doesn't include anything that you haven't turned in yet. The if the semester ended today grade would be as if you didn't turn anything else in the rest of the semester. That's what your grade would look like. So that should give you an idea as you complete more labs and homework. A lot of you have the code homework left to do. You have labs left to finish up. The more you complete those, the more you'll see that grade go up. And the if semester ended today category does not include the final exam. That's only attendance, participation, homework, quizzes, and labs. So that should be helpful for you. And I'll try to keep your grades updated as we go here. Yeah. Three of you. Caden, Peyton, and Eric. Have any of you done the motor troubleshooting lab with the Megger? Can you please do that today? Because I want to go over the answers with everybody in class. All right. I'm going to put this PowerPoint on Blackboard under course content, Conduit. Make sure I don't already have it. Nope. There it is. I'll even put it all the way at the top because you guys are so dumb that I need to make it easy for you. I'm just kidding. But if you click on that, it will open up this PowerPoint. And I'm not going to go through this thing page by page. You're welcome to do it. But that's what all your bends should look like. That's what they should not look like. That's a crappy one. Anyway, let's skip this crap. Conduit types. Rigid non-metallic conduit. That's PVC. The ends and fittings, if the ends are not belled like you see in that picture, they have fittings that you can buy. And how do you put PVC conduit together? Some of you should know this. With glue. RMC, or galvanized rigid conduit. You'll see both types in the code book. Most rigid that I've ever used has already come galvanized. I've never seen rigid conduit come from the supply house that doesn't have a galvanized coating on it. Galvanizing is that silvery looking outside coating. It's like a paint, but it's more to protect it from the elements. And that type of conduit gets threaded together. So you can see the ends of the couplings are threaded. IMC is the same kind of thing, but it's made out of aluminum, intermediate metal conduit. It's just not as heavy duty. EMT, that's what you guys are bending in the lab, and those use either compression type or screw type fittings and couplings. And then flex. And it's called flex because it's flexible. You get that?
Yeah.
Somebody asked me about what?
Do you have like a mnemonic so I can remember that?
You're gonna have to just study.
All right.
Somebody asked me about seal tight. Did somebody ask me about seal tight? Somebody did. I know they did. Anyway, if you guys are curious, we do have some flex and we have some metallic and non-metallic seal tight here. Seal tight is just weatherproof. It's flex, but it's PVC coated. And if it's metallic seal tight, it has this flexible conduit inside it. And if it's non-metallic, it's just a PVC flexible tube. Somebody asked me about it and if it's okay to use, and I said, well, yeah, absolutely. But in the field, if you're good at what you do, people that don't know what they're doing use flex all the time because it ends up looking like shit. But if you can put EMT or rigid conduit in there, it's more professional. So we went over this last week, but you're allowed 360 degrees in any pipe run, and that's just between 2 pulling points. So hang on a second. That's not what I want. Anyway. What I mean by that is if I'm going from junction box to junction box to junction box, I'm allowed 360 degrees between these two. It doesn't have to be 360 degrees total. It's between any 2 pulling points. And we went over the reasoning for that. What is the reasoning for that? Why do they limit you to the number of degrees between pulling points? Right, when you're pulling wire, obviously it's going to be more difficult if you got a shit ton of bends in there. But it also, if you're putting too much strain on the wire when you're pulling it in, it'll damage the insulation. So if I told you that in between this junction box, I've got, let's see, I went a 90 and then a 90 for whatever reason. And then I did a 30-degree offset. And then I did another 90 and another 90. Is that NEC compliant? 90, 90, 90. And then don't forget, you've got 30 and another 30 on the offset, and then a 90, and then a 90. So that is a shit ton of bends. And you can see how that would be difficult to pull wire through that. But that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times 90. That's already 450 degrees plus 30, and 30 is 510. But on a quiz, you might see a question that doesn't have a picture, but it'll say, I've got between 2 pulling points, 3 90s, 2 45s, and 1 45-degree offset. Is that NEC compliant? Huh? No. How many degrees is it? Too many. How many degrees is it? This is 270. This is 90. And this is 90. Don't forget this is an offset, so there's two 45-degree bends there. 0, carry the 2, 874 minus divided by the square root. What? This would be 1825. So this is 450 degrees. All right. Another one would be 3 30-degree offsets and 2 90s. How many degrees is that?
That's 180. Will that be 270? Wait, sorry. 270 plus 90.
This is 180.
360.
How much is the 3 30-degree offsets?
90.
180.
I mean, sorry.
30-degree offset has 60 degrees in it, right? Because it's two 30-degree angles.
Oh. Offset. Got
So yes, this would be NEC compliant because you didn't go over 360. You put a little box offset in the end of that, boop, you just broke the rules. But I wanted to run through that for you because you might see that set up on the quiz like that. Okay.
So on those questions, do you assume there's an offset with the questions?
So then would it work if you need to do that box offset to make your 30-degree offsets into 22.5s?
Yeah, you could do that, but in real life, okay. And we're splitting hairs here, but yeah, you could bump the degrees down in your offsets. But in real life, if you had all that shit going on for whatever reason, you had to go around things. I don't even know what I said. 390s and a couple offsets. What did I say? 3 30-degree offsets? No, I said 2 90s and 3 30-degree offsets. Okay, so here's a 90, here's a 90, 2 90s, and then 3 30-degree offsets. For whatever reason, we have to do it like this. Now, wouldn't you somewhere in there just put another box right there? That's all it's saying is in real life, if you're a conduit bending electrician on a day-to-day basis, you know that I got to get from this point to this point because I have to add whatever I need to here. I need an outlet over here, right? So I got to get a pipe from there to there. And you're just going to start running pipe, okay? And eventually you're going to look at this and say, I need to throw a box in here somewhere, right? That's real life. But there are cases where people will just run and run and run, and they end up with this massive amount of bends in their conduit. It's garbage work. So that's not what I'm going to do. That's the 360-degree rule. Okay, supports. I'll let you guys run through these pictures. They're really self-explanatory, but you've got unistrut. This is called a strut strap. This is called a spring nut. Can you see which one's a 1-hole strap and which one's a 2-hole strap? Yeah, count the holes. This is called a mini, and you'll see those on the wall bends when you do those. U-bolts, corn clamps. But don't discount those pictures. You'll want to look through that to take your quiz. Just saying. Support spacing. All right. This is an example of some numbers that you would pull out of the code book, and we'll go through more of those numbers later. But EMT, section 348-13. I don't know what the -13 means. It's supposed to be dot, but there's a whole section in the code book on EMT. If you've done your code homework, you've probably seen it already. But with EMT, for certain sizes of different types of conduit, you're allowed so much space from each pulling point. So that would be a conduit like is shown in the picture, or this is a 4-square junction box. You're allowed so much room from that point to your first support. For EMT, you have to support it within 3 feet of the termination. And then between supports, between the boxes, you're allowed 10 feet, and that does not include a coupling. You don't have to be within 3 feet of a coupling. Okay. On the cheat sheet that I gave you, you'll see this table. You'll also see this table and this table. These numbers are pulled straight out of the code book. But you're going to have to tell me if I have a pipe run that is, let's just do an example, 212 feet long. We're not even talking about any bends here. We're just saying between this box and this box, I've got a pipe. Let's just say it's EMT. We'll just say it's half-inch EMT. Who gives a shit? And what did I just say? 212 feet between the 2 points. So you need to tell me how many supports at minimum that run has to have. Could you do it using your cheat sheet that you all have and saved because I told you not to lose it? You're going to start with this this table here, NEC support requirements. Then you're going to finish up with another one. 71 supports.
71.6.
So Heath says 71 supports. It's a lot of supports. I think you're wrong. 20. He M Daddy says, what'd you say? 21? Like 21, I think. So that's Heath's, or that's M Daddy's answer for the quiz. Here's the quiz question. 212 feet of half-inch EMT between 2 junction boxes. How many supports? Heath says 71. He's very confident. M Daddy says 21, I think. 21, I think. That's his answer on the quiz. 212 supports. Lewis says 212. 212 feet between the boxes.
Okay.
What's your answer?
Okay, what's the first 3 feet away from each box, then will be 209. Well, let me check. I don't know what to put right now. 206 will be 22.
22.
Mhm.
22. Says Lewis. All right, we got 3 guesses there. Anybody else want to guess? Here's how you do it. All right, we're using half-inch EMT. EMT on this row, on your cheat sheet, says 3 feet from each support. You could go into the code book and look this up, but we have this little cheat sheet. So 3 feet from each box and 10 feet between supports from there. So here's how I do it. I recommend you do it this way, and there's a reason for it. Where's my first one need to be? 3. The next one? 13. So I need 10 feet between those. 23, 33, 43, 53. This is going to take a while. 63, 73. If you don't want to do it this way, that's fine. But you're going to see in a minute why I want you to do it this way. 203. All right. And then the next one would be 212. So I got a box there. So am I done? Yes, sir. You got to add one in there. And that's why I would recommend that you do it this way. It looks stupid. It makes you feel like a kindergartner, but you won't get it wrong. I guarantee you that. So this is at 212. So we need one at least at 209, right? That one's not a. All right, count them up. How many is that? One, two, three, four, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 13, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22. Lewis said 22. And Lewis is right. What? No, you said 22, and that's the right answer. Really?
I thought it was 23 because it's 209, but I mean, it's 23 into 250, right? 216, 53.
I
It
have
was 210 feet, so it will be
212
212.
divided by 10 is 21.
Well, that's 20,
But you need to be within 3 feet of this box and 3 feet of that box. If you do it the kindergartner way, you'll get it right every time. Or you can guess.
No, I guess I was
21, I think. Okay, another example. So that's EMT, and EMT, according to the code book, it could be 1/2 inch EMT or it could be 4-inch EMT. That's heavy conduit, but you're still allowed 10 feet between supports. Why would you want to go more than that? Because you're a contractor and you don't want to spend that much money, huh? Yeah. But I mean, people would want to, if I'm in my garage, I don't want to spend $8 on supports. I want to spend $5 on supports. So well, anyway, by code, if it's getting inspected, you need to be within 3 feet of the box and no more than 10 feet between each of the other ones. So let's go.
Hey, I got a question.
What?
For example, I got 1 feet over in this case, was 212, right? There can be maximum of 200 or 60 for 20 for 23, right? If I got like 217, I cheap for 1. If I got
What the fuck are you talking about?
260, my maximum maybe this number.
Yeah.
23. If I want foot longer, take 270 something. Is 1 foot over, say, not put now and then.
If you want, oh, are you allowed to just add more if you want to?
Yeah.
Is that your question?
Yeah.
Yeah, you can you can support it every foot if you want to. This is minimum support requirements. And why do we need minimum support? Why do they have that in the code book? What if it's 3-inch rigid and you want to put your supports 20 feet apart? That conduit's so heavy it's going to bow, right? That's why. And come apart at the couplings probably. All right, let's do another example. 78 feet of RMC, 2-inch RMC. So this is pretty heavy stuff. How many supports do I need?
$19.
Garrett says 19. Any other guesses? Will, put your pants back on and answer this question.
Okay, let me do the math real quick. I'm just grabbing a pencil.
We know you're grabbing a pencil. You've been doing it the whole time.
So I need one at 3 feet and the supports are 16 feet apart.
16?
Distance between supports on, oh, sorry. Support for metal conduit, support for rigid RMC.
So how many feet do we need at the box?
From the box, you need 3 feet.
Right at the table, yep. So 3 feet from the box. And how many feet between supports?
Conduit size, distance between
Table.
supports.
It says it on that first table. Okay, max distance between the supports, C table 344.30B2. Oh, look right there. It's right there. So 2-inch RMC supports for rigid metallic conduit. We're allowed 16 feet between them. Okay, kindergarten method. Anybody else want to guess before we figure it out? Okay. 6. 3. And then what's our next one going to be? 19 plus 16 is 35. 51. 67.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
73. Right, 67 plus 16, and then eventually we got a box at 78. So are we done? No, because we're not within 3 feet of that next box. So there needs to be another one here, at least at 75 feet. Huh? Yeah, that's what I said. You did mess it up royally. 67, the next one would be at 83. This one, the next one, if we go 16 plus that, it would be at 83. And the box itself is at 78. So we need to at least have one at 75. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Who said 6? You get the prize. Who said 19? Oh. Okay. We got a flexible one. Run and flex from there to there, 32 feet between the boxes. And we're using, I don't know, 3/4 inch flex. So what's our spacing?
7 feet.
What? 17 is your guess?
7 feet.
7 feet. Oh, you already looked it up. So you're 1 foot from the box with flex, and you need Where'd you get 7 feet from?
Table 352.3. Or am I looking at the wrong one?
0.30?
Yeah.
This is supports for rigid non-metallic conduit.
Oh, looking at the wrong one then.
PVC. If you're looking at the first table, start with this one. No matter what example you're given, start with this one. FMC, flexible metal conduit. 1 foot, 4.5 feet. That's our other number.
4.5 feet.
Guesses? 8. 1. 5.5. 10. 14.5. 19. 23.5. 28. No. Yeah, 28. 32.5. Ethan, you're gonna check my math, right? Oh, 32.5. So we're past the box. Box is at 32 feet. We're within 4.5, but we're not within 1 foot next to the box, right? So we got to add one there that's at least at 31. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So Carter's wrong. Everybody got it? Got it good? Hand benders, hickeys, hydraulic benders, mechanical benders. I do have, let's skip down a little bit. This is a hydraulic bender. It's a table bender. It's used for like bigger, usually larger diameter EMT conduit, like 4-inch. It's nice because bigger conduit is heavy, but also you need a bigger radius shoe to bend bigger EMT conduit because it's thin wall, and if you don't use a bigger radius shoe, it will kink. This is called a triple nickel. There's lots of different manufacturers for these, but it's just a hydraulic bender, pretty self-explanatory. There's a shoe on the front of it that's got, this one has 3 different radius of pipe that you can use. And then there's a button that you press, and it uses hydraulic pressure to bend the pipe along that shoe. And then there's degree marks on the front of it. This is called a triple nickel because it's the Greenlee 555 model. And I didn't know that when I got into the trade. I thought people were saying triple nipple for some reason. But that's just because it's where my head's always at. I don't have the table bender. I don't have a triple nickel, but I do have, this is called a Chicago bender. And this is a mechanical bender. It does not use hydraulic pressure. It uses leverage. So if we get a little time at the end of the semester, I'll pull that thing out and we can make some bends on some bigger pipe with that. Back to hand bending though. Get yourself familiar with these slides. What size pipe is the bender that's shown? What size pipe is that used for? Can you tell? There's a clue. Can you see it? How'd you get that? How did he get that? The stub 6-inch to the arrow means that's the take up for this bender. So a 6-inch take up is for what size conduit? Remember when you're bending a 90, you need it to be so tall, you have to know what the take up is. It's on your cheat sheet. Right, 3/4 inch EMT. All right. Arrows marked for the start of the bend, used for all types of bends. And remember, that's the start of the radius of the bend. Rim notch, used for the center of a 3-point saddle. This is wrong. There would be a 45, 90, 45 on there, but this one actually does have, no, it doesn't. It's got a notch on the star. That's for the back-to-back 90, and it's got another rim notch, which is the teardrop on this Klein bender for center of a 3-point saddle. Star marks the back of a 90, used for a back-to-back stub 90. Angle marks. Oh, stub height. I didn't even know that was in there. This is a hickey bender. Anybody ever use a hickey bender? They're kind of cool. Most of the time in the field, these are used for like making adjustments. Like you got a dog in a pipe and you just crank it over a little bit. But it's actually like old school conduit benders. They're probably retired now, would use these for segmented bends. This is a segmented bend. I'll just show you real quick. Oh. If you didn't use segmented bends, this is like big rigid pipe. The radius of a shoe that you're using, if this is 1 inch rigid, the radius of that shoe is the same. So what they're trying to do here is make this look a little bit more aesthetically professional by making the radii the same distance apart. Whereas if you didn't use segmented bends and those little 6-degree increments, your bend would look more like that. And then you'd have a little bit more distance and then straight up. A little more distance and then straight up. So in order to make the radius kind of look the same on each of these, they used segmented bends to keep that spacing the same. Does that make sense? It's a really professional way to bend conduit. The other thing you could do with segmented bends is I've pulled fiber optic cable and made pipe runs and pulled fiber optic cable through it. And to keep the radius less strenuous, the more you bend a fiber optic cable, the more light it loses and the less bandwidth it has. And that's all stuff that's way beyond what we do in this program. But if you ever wanted to learn about fiber optic communications, it's actually really cool. But the goal with fiber is to keep the radius of any bends that's in the cable down. The more straight you can keep that cable, the longer distance you can communicate with it. But okay. Reamers, types of bends. You've done all this stuff before. Take up. Oh, gain. We need to talk about gain. Okay, so here comes old conduit Ben and Zach running rigid pipe, 2-inch rigid. So it's got these threaded ends and couplings. And there's my coupling, and I got to get into this box right here. And I know that the distance between this and the edge of my fitting. So I got a Myers hub in there that I'm trying to get to, and I got to hit this right on the tits because this box is already there. I can't just put it wherever I want. There's other conduits coming out. So I got to hit this coupling with this 90. In other words, with EMT, I could just measure this distance, and if I know that distance, let's just put some numbers in here. Let's say this is 6 feet. And this is 3 feet. With EMT, I could just bend that puppy at 6 feet and cut this off wherever I want it to, because it's a screw type or compression fitting. Cut it, ream it, and I'm done. But this is rigid. So if I bend this pipe first and then try to cut it and thread it, you guys don't know what a threader looks like. Some of you might, but if I had a 90, a rigid pipe, and I needed to thread this end and a pipe threader, I put it into the machine and clamp it down, then you got this big 6 feet of pipe swinging around in the air, and it probably wouldn't even work because a threader sits about as high as that tripod vise. So if I got one end of the pipe in the machine, it's going to thread the end of the pipe. It wouldn't work because the other end of the pipe would just be swinging around. So in other words, I need to cut this pipe to length and thread it and then bend it last. So I need to know exactly how long this pipe needs to be. Does that make sense? I need to know how long this is going to be before I thread it. So I need to know what gain is. Gain is figured out using a scrap piece of pipe where let's say I know that this is a 10-foot stick, and then when I bend it, I measure that, and it comes out to 10 feet 4 inches because I've gained a little bit on the radius of the bend, right? If it comes out to 10 feet 4 inches, the gain for that shoe, whatever machine or bender I'm using, that shoe, the gain is 4 inches. So on this picture, the gain is actually the area of that little red space. But that's what gain is. So if I saw a question on the quiz that was like, it's funny how I say, if I saw a question on the quiz, everybody shuts up and pays attention. If I told you the distance A, or back up, this is a 10-foot stick before I bent it. It was a 10-foot stick, a pipe. I bent it up, and now A plus B equals 10 feet 3.5 inches. What is the gain for the bender that I used? Or what is the area of this right here? The gain itself would be 3.5 inches. What if I told you that this is 3-inch rigid, and I took a 10-foot stick of pipe, and bent a 90, and I know because I tested a piece that the gain for the shoe that I was using was 4.25 inches. What would A plus B be? It was 10 foot before I bent it. The gain is 4.25. 10 foot 4.25. It seems simple, but in real life, my first example, I'm running 2-inch conduit. I'm running, or no, 3-inch RMC. I know my gain for the shoe that I'm using, if I bend to 90, is 4¼ inches. And I got to hit that box that we were talking about before. And I've taken measurements from the end of my last coupling. So I need to get from this point up to inside this fitting. And this is how you do it. You measure A. So from the end of your last conduit inside the coupling up to the box that you're using, you take those two measurements. And what if I measured 3 feet, 8½ inches for A, that's A, and for B, I measured 2 feet, 6¼ inches. I need to know exactly how long my pipe needs to be before I bend it, because I have to cut and thread it first and then bend it. So how long should that pipe be? Where do I cut it at? Here's my 10-foot stick of pipe. 10 feet is too long. Comes pre-threaded on both ends. I'm going to bend this 90, but I need to cut it and thread it first because I need to hit that fitting. Including the what? I just measured from the last point. So I've got a pipe in here, right? It's inside this coupling. I measured inside there from A to the outside edge of this coupling. So this will be like this. And I need to bend that 90. I know my distance A is 3 feet, 8½ inches. I know my distance B is 2 feet, 6¼ inches. So I need to cut this thing and thread it before I bend my 90. The gain for the shoe that I'm using is 4¼ inches. What's 3 feet, 8½ inches plus 2 feet, 6¼ inches? 6.43. Yeah, yeah. Can you do this math? Six feet, 2¾ inches. This is 5. 8½ that fraction, if you put it in, what do they call this? Compound fractions. If you simplify it, 2 times 8 is 16 plus 1 is 17. That'd be 17/2. 4 times 6 is 24 plus 1. That'd be 25/4. How do you add 2 fractions with different denominators? You make them the same. So 17½ equals 34/2. 34/4, I'm sorry. You add these two up. 24 plus 34 is 58/4. $58 divided by 4 is 14½, right? So that's 1 foot, 2½ inches. If I add this to my original 5, that's 6 feet, 2½ inches. 58/4 is 16 and 2/4, right? No, 14 and 2/4. What? $14 3/4. Okay, I agree with you. So it'd be 6'2 3/4 is what. So where was my math wrong?
I got 6.4. It's 3.25 into a 6, 1 and 4. No, you're right. 6.2 to 12. I get it.
Seventeen halves. Oh, 25/4. Somebody just said that. So 34 plus 25 would be 59/4. 59 divided by 4 is 14 3/4.
Why would you just add the other 8 half and 60?
Yeah, it is, but maybe people don't know how to do that. Maybe people need to go through the fractions. No matter how you do it, the total between A and B is 6 feet 2.5 inches. 2 3/4. Shit. Can we all agree on that? A plus B equals that. So I take my measuring tape and put a mark at 6 feet 2 3/4 inches. Cut it and thread it. You got to factor in the gain. So which way do I move my mark? You subtract it. That's right. Because I'm going to gain 4 1/4 inches when I bend the pipe. If I could bend it on a perfect 90, like the picture shows, without kinking the pipe, I could just mark it at 6 feet 2 3/4 inches. But I need to subtract that gain. So this where I cut the pipe is actually at 6 2 3/4 minus 4 1/4. Now we're getting crazy. So say what's 6 feet 2 3/4 minus 4 1/4? It'd be 5'10" and 5'10". That's 3/4 minus another quarter is 5'10.5". 5 feet 10.5 inches. That's where I want to cut it. Cut it, thread it, bend it, and it will end up right there. So that's kind of a complex example, but that's real life stuff. What you need to know for the quiz is if I told you what the gain was, could you tell me what A plus B is? Or if I told you what A plus B is, could you tell me what the original length of the pipe was? All you got to do is remember that you're going to gain a little bit when you bend it. You're either going to be given the gain or you're going to be given A plus B. And you have to figure out the other one. Can you do it? You all know this stuff. You know this stuff. You know the trig. You know shrink. You'll see shrink on there, which concludes this PowerPoint. Let me just look at the quiz real quick to make sure there's nothing we're missing. Should be good. The only other thing is that there will be two trig questions, just like your homework and your trig quiz. All right, that's it. Quiz Monday. Everybody knows what they need to work on. Anybody have questions over anything we went over today? All right, I'm done talking. Zoomers, you got any questions?
Nope.
All right. Bye.
See you.
Have a good day.